Going live. You are live. You are live. Waiting for Nerdy Overanalyzed. Excellent connection. We like to see excellent connection. Is this live? Please tell me we are live. Okay, can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Are we live? The spreadsheet awaits. Are we live? All right, excellent, excellent. How are y'all doing on this wonderful Saturday? A brand new Saturday. The slime has returned. I was supposed to have made a Discord the other day, but I ended up watching Harry Potter with my girlfriend. So no Discord yet. I do probably Saturday seems like my nerdy overanalyze days is turning out. Yeah, so today I probably should make the Discord because I've been meaning to make the Discord for like 3 weeks or longer, and I never got it done. Hello, Chris. Hello, Nighthawk. Hello, John. Hello, Jorge. Hello, Big Diesel Boatman. Hello, the rest of you who are lurking. But yeah, I probably will make Saturdays like my content creation day, maybe like 2 days out of the week, depending on how things go. 4 Wolverines, done. Hello, Spartaner. Okay, so today we're gonna be talking about or working through this problem, and I actually want to, if you're a new player, if you're relatively new to the game, I want you to talk to me about what kind of problems you're facing as a new player. And if you're an experienced player watching this or just like looking to refine your game, you can help me out too, because I'm going to be live talking through the problem. And especially with like the tier list videos we did a couple of weeks ago, it really helped having a couple of other opinions. Even if they're like a little crazy or might not be true, definitely ask it, because I definitely overlook things and I want to give the best information possible. I created a monster by giving my girlfriend a charger. She is hyper aggressive and I created a monster teaching my girlfriend to play. She's hyper aggressive. Giving her a charger was a mistake. That's actually a good that you brought it up. So, building beginner lances. Okay, so I'm going to talk about beginner lances today. Let's make this nice and big here. I think we need to go bigger. How about like 20, I think? Okay, beginner lances. That's a good point. We do need to talk about style, like play styles. So cater lists to different types of players. I think it's important to know how the game rarely lasts 10 turns. Yes, so looking at how much ammo Mech has, everything above 10 shots might bite you in the butt later on. Yeah, I think 10 shots is like reasonable. Ammo. Okay, as a newer player, the big thing I struggle with as a less experienced player is trying to figure out where to compromise. So where do I compromise? In list building. Pirates versus Mercenaries. Awesome. Hope you enjoy, Chris. Ammo explosions are double-edged. Losing a mech to a through armor critical hit feels cheap. Okay, yeah. But preventing the game turning into sandpaper battle has value. You mean with like AC-20 stuff, Brent? I think so. I think I'm sold on the AC20, the AC10, not so much the AC5 and AC2. Just the heat, just the like weight to damage ratio is just really bad. Where can I cheap out on cost by accepting? Okay. Where? So it's like, if I want to save BV, what do I buy? Don't want to get the best, what do I buy? Okay, so we definitely want some kind of okay, let me start out by dropping my ideas, like what I think when I was thinking through the problem, what I was thinking through. So if you're a beginner, you probably bought one of the starter lances. So one of like the so it's like I want to try BattleTech on a budget, right? If you're like a beginner person, you probably bought like a Game of Armored Combat or like Alpha Strike or maybe even the starter Mercenary pack. You maybe have Essentials and you maybe have Beginner Box. So we want to make, I think we want to make lances based off of these starter products that players probably already have. And we also want to maybe recommend strong picks. We want to recommend like the lance packs where the player will get the most value. So we won't want to make them buy like 6 different lance packs to start. That's not realistic. We probably want to build off of the starter products that are already out since they already have them. And maybe we're recommending like 1 to 2 lance packs. Okay. The thing when you teach lances, so lances are teams. So kind of like positions in basketball or football, right? So you have like quarterbacks, you have your wide receivers which are running really far, you have your linemen which are blocking, you have your quarterback who's making the play, you have your you have these positions in these different sports. And it's the same thing with BattleTech lances. You have certain mechs that are maneuver mechs, and you have certain mechs that are fire mechs, and you have hybrids and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of like the main thing I think we should go through. And why is that? Because of initiative. Basically, initiative makes it so that you kind of have to have teams, lances of teams, and because you need things to go, mechs to go early and late. You can't have all mechs that want to go late, and you can't have all mechs that want to go early. We'll go over that later. And then we need weapon balance. So we need pierce and crit, right? So and then I think we also want to talk about playstyles, right? Definitely playstyles is a thing. So cater list to different types of players. We probably want some like balance list. Balanced take all comers to teach fundamentals. We want some kind of aggressive list. Fun, just send it. So if I want to just slam a lance on the table and then just run it down mid and then just see what happens, I think that's fun. We probably want maybe like a finesse list, like a cavalry, like a, well, it's kind of, maybe we want like a range, gunline list. I think gunline's pretty easy to play. Gunline list, so like easy, just set up, slug it out. Hero mech, so like one guy is your queen. I think that's kind of neat. I don't know. Any other ideas? Okay, lance. Okay, so we're going into actual lances for beginners. Let me see here. I'm reading the chat. Starter products, yeah. I think starter products is really key. Lance for beginners. Okay, you're giving me a lance. Budget starter list. Yeah. When to pay for BV for better pilots versus paying for more units. Okay. So when do I get a mech? When do I get a better mech versus getting a better pilot? Okay. Hello, new to BattleTech and been really enjoying your videos past month while I learned about the game. Thank you for the content. Oh, awesome. Welcome in. This stream is pretty much aimed at you. So if you have any questions regarding beginner lances, go ahead and ask them. Okay, so I'm going to go through these a little more in detail, and then we'll do like a Q&A. I think also people want to see like lore accuracy. Plus, I think also what if I want to try a faction. And this will be a video. I think it's a really important topic. Coming back to BattleTech, I think this is like something that a new player would really want to see. So this will be a video. We're going to talk through it and think through the problem here today. Beginners are not lore lords. So yes, beginners are not lore lords, but I think a lot of them get into BattleTech because they want that lore flavor. And so when we hand them lances, I think what they would want to do is they would want to collect mechs that are usable in any timeline and usable in any faction, because they're going to start off with a generic faction. They're going to start off with this beginner box, and then they're going to say, okay, what faction do I want to collect? Do I want to be pirates? Do I want to be mercenaries? Do I want to play the Capellans? Do I want to play the Lyrans? Like, where do I fit into this? And more often than not, I think they are going to go mercenary, but just so they can play anything and they can create their own narrative. But they do want to feel good about, like, yeah, this is a lore accurate list, or like relatively lore accurate list, so I don't feel cheesy. You know what I mean? Like you don't really want to come in with, let's say, like all Warlord Titans, or like only, like if your army list is like Marnius, Calgar, and who's like the other guy, like Robute Gilliman and the Honor Guard. I don't know if that's more fun to play. You know, you can play the heroes, but do you really want to play like Widowmaker and stuff, or would you rather have like your own kind of generic, not generic, but like your own list that's like reasonable within lore? You know, you don't want to like show up with, okay, these are like only Star League mechs, or like really, really rare mechs. You know what I mean? Thunderbolt and Phoenix Hawk, I agree. I just want to run mechs. The lore is okay. Ah, okay. Okay, so that's at least the way I think. But okay, so you're saying Evil Lawn, there's like different. I mean, there are different ways that people think. I'm only one dude, but you just want to run mechs. Lore. Yeah, I think there are people that are like vary in terms of lore, but I think lore is kind of important. So, okay, so where do we start here? Let's go with lances or teams. Okay, so lances are teams. We covered that in the previous video, but basically, because initiative is I go, you go, you need mechs to go early and late. So mechs that go early act with less information because the opponent's mechs haven't moved yet. And so they need to be durable, far like good at fighting at range, because if you're good at fighting at range, it doesn't really matter, or it matters a lot less where the opponent is positioning. For example, like an archer sitting in the back line can be activated early because it's very durable, has a really high armor, and its LRM 20 reaches across quite a bit. So even if the enemy is maneuvering, it's likely that the LRMs are going to be in range of like maybe like 2 or 3 mechs. So if something moves out of range, if one mech moves out of range or moves very evasively, you can still hit like a second or third target, right? So something like the Archer, something like the Awesome, these kind of long-range durable mechs are good at acting at early. And what this does is it enables your mechs that go later in the initiative. So the mechs that go late in the initiative, like the Wolverine, like the Shadowhawk, that do need that perfect position. Remember, with that I go, you go, eventually the opponent is going to lock a mech. He's going to activate a mech, and then that mech has to stay there. So because that mech stays there, you know where that mech is going to end up, and you can maneuver your Wolverine, your cavalry element, your maneuver element into like melee range, like maybe behind the mech in the rear, so that you can kick them and they can't kick you, or you can shoot them and they can only shoot you back with like a couple of weapons. So act with more. Use speed to get into perfect position. So they need speed. Ideally, they hit somewhat hard. Yeah. All right, yeah, every mech kind of wants to go late, but someone does have to go early. And the best candidates to go early are the mechs that are very durable. Yeah. If you want to play with folks at your local game store, at some point you have to be at least somewhat lore accurate. Yeah, I would definitely agree. Salvage is a thing, yeah. So I think you can kind of not fudge it, but you can, you know, if you come in with like a mercenary company, you have one Vindicator, no one's gonna bat an eye. Like, okay, you have a salvaged Vindicator from the Compelling Confederation or something, you know. My issue is what faction play and lore. My issue with faction play and lore is that are there actually officially supported lists and restrictions, or are people just having to argue lore across books just to justify their lists? So previously it was that, because you'd have to have so many books in order to figure out what was lore accurate. And they're putting out these army lists now. I think the newest publications do have lore accurate lists, or like semi lore accurate lists. If you want like a master list for lore accuracy, the best thing to look at would be Zodal Rats. You can find it on Sarna.net, the Zodal Rats tables. This guy, written by a guy named Keith Zodal Hahn, and he did a whole ton of research on what is lore accurate and the rates. It's a fan publication, but I believe he eventually became some kind of designer for BattleTech, and it was really good enough to, I think, where they're using it as to inform their choices kind of moving forward. I like that list really a whole lot. And if you compare the Zodal Rats list with the current publications, it matches up pretty well, at least from what I've seen. Master unit list does tell you what is available for each faction, but it does not tell you the rates. So for example, the catapult is available to a lot of factions, but the MUL does not tell you if it's rare or not. And so it doesn't tell you that it's unrealistic to show up with like 4 catapults or something like that, you know? Or like, it will tell you that the Black Knight is available for this list, but it won't tell you that it's super rare and will be seen like once in a regiment or once in a battalion. Yeah, but you can use the MUL. But yeah, it won't tell you that, like, yeah, the Thunderbolt is like a common staple, the Crusader is a common staple, the Warhammer is a common staple, the Archer is a common staple, and then these mechs are rare. So for that reason, I personally prefer Zodal Rats. I know a lot of people like MUL because it's easy. You know, it's just an online database and you can just go. I think either way is fine, but MUL you might run into the problem of like what is common and what is uncommon and what is rare. Yes, the rats. Yes, you can look at rats. See, the Zodal Rats is it just combines everything from like 3028 to 3060 something, 67 or 63. Okay, so early, late, and then you have these hybrids. So they can do either, right? Hybrids can do either, and that what makes them very useful. You're looking at usually this is some kind of battle line cav unit, so like Grasshopper, or range cav. Range cav hybrid's really nice. The catapult. So these are really nice because the Grasshopper and the catapult can move early if you have to move them. If you have to activate them early, they can, right? The catapult can just sit and then launch its LRM-15s, and the Grasshopper can sit and brawl like a battle line mech, like with its medium lasers and large laser, and it will be fine because it has a lot of armor. In addition, these mechs can activate later if you do give them a later turn in the initiative, or they do get a later turn in the initiative. They can be a maneuver mech, albeit a bit slower. They're 464 rather than 585, but they can be a maneuver mech, and they can get into that perfect position. So that's very useful here. Okay, so I'm gonna write down the roles. And this is I don't know what you call it, like slime doctrine. I don't know what you call it. Okay, let's say slime doctrine. So this is a doctrine that I made in order to understand the game better. So you have scouts, you have cavalry, you have battle line, you have ranged, you have bodyguard, you have... Essentially, what I'm saying is it's my thing. It might not be right as we learn more about the game, but I think it definitely helps, like a way to understand how to play BattleTech. Okay, might not be 100% right, but it's my way and gets you started. Okay, that's all it is. And this is based off of what a lot of players have said in the past, and is also how Catalyst sets up their roles, right? So there's some overlap. But I think this way is just easier conceptually to understand. Okay, so range bodyguard, we have what do we have? Ambusher, and we have linebreaker. Okay, so a scout mech is a maneuver mech. Okay, it's generally pretty cheap, and can burn its turn. So why do you burn the scout's turn? Because it's really low BV, and you essentially buy information. So for example, like the locust is very low BV, maybe like 10% of your total list. You can just sacrifice its turn, essentially do nothing with the scout, and then force your opponent to activate another mech. And that's typically to oh god, I can't spell maneuver. Anyway, activate some kind of cavalry mech. So this is like heavier, once last turn. Okay, so essentially a scout is a cheap cavalry unit. The scout can burn its turn for more information. The cavalry cannot, because it's typically more expensive. You don't want to be doing that with a higher value BV mech. Okay. Oh, good. Someone spelt maneuver for me. M-A-N-E-U-V-E-R. It works. Okay. Three tiers. 1, MUL, informed faction range, fully enormous. Yeah, like, I think it's not perfect. And I think there was an author, a person who used to write for BattleTech and then created a blog. And she said something like, I don't understand why people get so in a knot about lore, and they fight about lore so much. Because when I was at that company, what we did was, if we found something that we wanted to change, we literally just wrote that Comstar did this, or like, there is new information and our old information was not good, so it's this. And in that way, they were able to change the lore while remaining like, they are able to retcon things in a kind of nice way. And so it kind of, when I read that, I was like, oh, okay, like, we don't need to hold on to these things that just because they're silly, just because they're outdated and there's a more fun or more interesting way to play, doesn't mean we need to hold on to these old things. Yeah, the rule of cool, essentially, right? And it was just like a lore way to retcon. And I thought that was very nice, because, you know, studying this game really makes me think more about like game design and really wanting to study game design. Anyway, okay, so this would be like a fire mech. Battle line's a fire mech. It's like a high armor, good at 6 hexes or less. Okay, creates a wall that your range mechs. Okay, range mechs are fire mechs, high damage. Bodyguard mechs. So these are kind of can be either. The best can be either, actually. These are probably, okay. These are fire mechs. Some can be either. So these are essentially your sidekicks. They can screen or fend off lighter scouts or cav, and 2, add their damage to battle line, ranged, and to win the main fight. Okay. LOS line of sight for scouts as they might spot for indirect fire. True, they can. I don't think people are playing with indirect fire too much, but yeah, I guess in like in a campaign, can scout, can indirect fire. But I don't think a beginner is going to be using it for that. But yes, it can. Ambusher. So these are kind of like specialists. I don't think you need to bother with them. Just like mechs that can hide and create roadblocks. And Linebreakers are definitely fire mech. So mechs that are specifically made to defeat battle line. So typically AC-20, right? Typically AC-20. Oh, use Alpha Strike. Okay, I play Classic. Yeah. There is a difference between playing with mechs you like versus making cheese lists. Yes, for sure. I personally like narrative play and like lore accurate play. I probably should end up playing in a tournament, but it's not, to me, the tournament is not the end all be all. It's not like what you should aspire to, because you should aspire to fun, right? I think you should aspire to fun, and for fun for me is the narrative and the campaign play. The tournament play is good to test your mechanics and theories, and it would be very good for me to test these theories and really put them to the test. But I don't like the way the tournaments often devolve, I think, into looking at the data set and finding the most broken or the highest value to BV, like finding some discrepancy in the way that BV works, and then just putting those best mechs into the slots given your budget. That's kind of what the list building is. And then you have your like mechanics, I guess, and you can refine your mechanics from there. So I guess in that way, it's good. Oh, hello. Thanks for the comment on part 3 Assault Mech Stream VOD. Buddy agreed to return to a BV handicap. Ah, yes. Okay. Good. BV handicap. Shun people that play competitive. I don't know if I would shun them. I would say like, hey, do you want to play like narrative? I don't really. I would try and convert them personally. I would try and convert them to narrative play because it's so much more fun. But I think if they are very, very, very like tournament focused, I want to be the best, then there's a certain point where you do have to walk away. But I think if someone is like, oh, is BattleTech like a tournament thing? Like, is it a chess thing? It's like, no, it's a D&D, a little bit more of a D&D thing. At least for me. Yeah, they can play the way they want. For me, it's campaign and narrative. Because I've played tournament level chess, and it is annoying. It is very annoying. Yeah, they definitely want different things. Like, I can see it. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so Slime Doctrine, Lances are teams. Right, so these are the things that you kind of want to keep in mind. I would say every list will probably have one of these three. We'll have some kind of like, every list you see will have these three things. Sometimes I've seen no battle line, but you definitely have some kind of fire element and some kind of maneuver element. I'm wondering if we should put, okay, so let's put some recommended mechs here. Okay, Locust, Firestarter, Javelin. I'm going to recommend mechs that are available in 3025. Okay, only mechs in 3025 because you can use them in any era. So any era moving forward, right? So some mechs are not backwards compatible. For example, a mech like the Wraith is very good, but it's made in 3055, I believe. And that means you can't play the Wraith in 3025, and you can't play it during Invasion. So it's kind of bad in that way. So I want to recommend mechs that are only available from Intro Tech 3025 moving forward. Maybe 3028 because you have like the Wolfhound and stuff, but yeah. Okay, so I like the Locust here. It comes in the starter set. It's very fast, very easy to use. Kind of like the best in class for like the pure scout. The fire starter and the javelin are scout cavalry. So they sit in the middle of they hit a little harder than the regular scout, but they're still cheap enough where you're okay burning your turn. I think the starter, if you want like some nice starter wheels, like beginner wheels, go for the fire starter, some version of the fire starter. It's very, very forgiving, very high armor for a scout cavalry or a scout mech. So you can afford to take like a couple of hits with the fire starter in a way that you can't with some of the other scouts. So that's kind of like my beginner recommendation. If you want something that's very interesting and a little bit of a challenge, I would try the Javelin. And the Javelin is very unique because it has 2 SRM6s and 2 tons of ammunition on those SRM6s, which means you take 1 ton of Inferno ammo and you can disable heavier mech. So it's kind of like a giant Slayer mech. If you have initiative on the opponent, you can declare your weapons. I believe it's been a long time, but you declare your weapons, what weapons you're shooting later than your opponent. And if you do that, then your opponent gets in this weird spot where they have to declare what shots they're going to take. If they push their heat, you can then declare your javelin. Because you're declaring it later, you can declare that you're shooting your Infernos and overheat them. So they know that they can't push their heat because the javelin's in range. And because of that, they're forced to reduce the amount of damage that they're spitting out. So instead of like a Warhammer shooting like a PPC, all its lasers with SRM, maybe it's like, oh crap, I can only shoot 1 PPC. Or I can't even do that. I can shoot maybe 2 lasers. And then because you're activating later, once you see that the opponent mech is cooling down, it's keeping his heat low to account for the fact that your javelin might hit him with Infernos, then you just hit him with the regular damage. Yeah. And then even if you don't have initiative on the opponent, you can still just shoot the Infernos just to shut them down. So these are like my 3 picks, probably my best 3. Okay. For cavalry, I would say Wolverine. Comes in the starter pack. Very ferocious little fighter. Very scrappy. High armor. Good damage. If you want to play Merrick, you take the 6M. But the 6R is fine. You can almost play this as a hybrid. You can almost play this as a cavalry guard. It's good. I think it's good enough. It has good enough armor to play as a cavalry guard. I was talking to Pirate like a year ago. He is right, I think, where it has high enough armor to play as a guard, but not for long. I don't know of any other good cavalry mech. Does anyone have the Vulcan 5T? I think it's the 5T. It's the one with the lasers. The laser one. And the Phoenix Hawk. Maybe. I think these are probably good. Crab. Yes, Crab is very good. Crab, rare. So I think these three are good. You could play the crab as a bodyguard. And the Wolverine, I think you can also play as a bodyguard. So yeah, so these are maneuver mechs. They want the last turn. You want later in the activate them later in the initiative so they can make the attack. If you want some kind of shock cavalry, you can go with the Victor, one with a lot of armor. If you want to cheap out here, so I know one of you said like, where do I compromise? You can try the Shadowhawk. It's a shock cavalry unit, so shock cavalry. So this is a subtype of the cavalry. The Shadowhawk is very cheap in BV, and it makes it very expendable. So you can use it as almost a distraction mech, where you just run at the opponent, and then they have to kind of they have to send like a heavier mech to go deal with it, and then you kind of distract them. Like the Shadowhawk just continually rams like a larger value mech. It eventually dies. It eventually goes down or gets crippled because it's, bad on the internals. But it's cheap. It's a nice distraction mech. I think also you could call the Charger if you want a meme. But yes, the Charger is a nice distraction Carnifex. Griffin is range cav, yes. Okay, battle line. I think you have good battle line choices here. You have a lot of choices, honestly, but I think Thunderbolt's fine. From AGoAC. Battlemaster also fine. Also fine. Yeah, I think these are fine staple picks. The Thunderbolt has a little bit low on the damage, but has very high armor, so it's very stable. The Battlemaster is something I overlooked. It has 2 SRM tons, which means you can do the same trick that you do with the Javelin. You hold your Inferno ammo. You activate the Battlemaster later in the initiative in the shot declaration phase, and you do the same thing. If you can get it stuck in, if you can get the Battlemaster stuck in to where it can target 2 mechs and you activate it late, that's even better. Because you can shut down 2 mechs. Orion, if available, yes. There are a lot of, I think the Orion's completely fine. There's a lot of good battle line mechs, right? You have like the Cataprak for the Capellans. You have, you do have the Orion if you want something a little heavier, but I think the Thunderbolt is good because it's just a very stable bread and butter thing. You're not going to see anything amazing, but it's not going to let you down either. Yes. Okay. So ranged mechs. What range mechs do we like? I like the Archer, honestly. Oh, also we should say awesome. It's ranged battle line. Awesome is really good. It's an all energy mech, which means there's no ammunition explosion. Makes it very durable. Also has a lot of armor and very simple to play. You just set up and you just launch your 3 PPCs until you hit your 8 heat, and then you just fire 2 and reset. That's it. Black Knight. Yep, Black Knight, Flashman. These are all like good. I guess we can put Black Knight here. Black Knight here, rare. Rare mech, but also like a very good energy brawler. I think it has 3 large lasers, so kind of one of the highest piercing battle line mechs there are. Very, very good. Very, very good. Thug. Yep, Thug is awesome. It's Kurita only. Yes. Okay. So you have the Archer. I think range battle line. So this is a hybrid, right? So this is a Warhammer. So why is the Warhammer range battle line? It's kind of a glass cannon. Has a lot of damage with the PPCs. Really good weapons loadout. But it's low armor. So what you have to do with the Warhammer is you have to stick it behind cover. You need it. You ideally want it behind one one level of hex so that you negate the leg. Leg shots are negated, so you put it on a hill behind like a berm thing, so you protect its legs behind the level 1 terrain. So you negate the leg hits because the Warhammer is notoriously low leg armor, and then you pound it with the PPCs, and then when ranges close or mechs or your frontline mechs start getting low, or you want to finish off a mech, you shift it into the battle line roll, so you bring it forward, and then you switch from the PPCs, you switch to your lasers and your SRMs. I think Archer's okay here. I mean, you could go like Longbow. I don't know if there are any like pure range mechs I really like anymore. But yeah, they're just like kind of long range guys that you just set up, and you just pound. Guards. There's some very good guards here. The classic one is the Centurion. Although I'm beginning to think that you might need a little bit more movement on your guards, just to keep up with the incoming like Locust Wasp, your 696 movers, your 585 movers. I don't think the Centurion can intercept. Like I wouldn't trust the Centurion to protect a Crusader, for example. So the Crusader has really bad rear armor, and it also has 100% explosion on the torsos. So in order to enable this Crusader, you need something to intercept early. So you almost need like a Shadowhawk or a Phoenix Hawk, something fast that can get on to the enemy scout mech before it can become a threat to the Crusader. So something like that. I mean, there are good ones, right? There's Vindicator for Capellan. There's Panther for Karita. I honestly think Trebuchet might be a good answer. It's very similar to the Catapult, but it's low armor. Dragon, yeah, Dragon would be a shock cav. There's the Grand Dragon. Also quite good. I mean, you have the Lancelot, you have, yeah. Dervish, yes, I think Dervish is good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I recently was like, how do you use the Dervish? Like, what is that good for? It doesn't hit very hard with its LRM 10s. Like, I don't understand. But, oh, it's 585, and it has lasers and SRM, so you're using it as like a light hunter plus LRM 10 damage on the battle line. Yes. So yeah, I think some of this cavalry stuff can be blended with bodyguard, because you're using it, you're just pulling your, like, these cavalry mechs can make the attack, but you also can pull it fast enough to pull them in to defend against enemy cavalry. So you have this little cavalry fight. Which makes me wonder if the bodyguard is like a specialist role. Anyway, Ambusher, I'm not really going to cover it. I don't know, okay? But maybe there are some mechs that are kind of like Commando. Like, I don't know. I need to put more games on the Commando, but the only way I've been able to play the Commando is as like this lurker. So it's like I'm using it as a scout, but I'm never making an attack with the Commando. I'm using it as a counterpunch. The classic example here, I guess I shouldn't put it yet because I'm not 100%, but like Urban Mech. So basically you just, these mechs that are like popping out and then hammering an opponent for getting into its area. A recon hunter. Okay, but as a scout, it's not fast enough to make an attack. I guess I do agree with you that it hits hard enough to hunt down like a like a wasp, but I wouldn't trust it against like a Wolverine. It's dead, right? Obviously, Wolverine just kills it. I don't know. Yes, Commando Wolfhound combo seems good, but I just don't trust the Commando if like a Shadowhawk comes over the hill or a, you know what I mean? I don't know. Hunchback be an ambusher. I actually don't like, after playing some games, I don't like the Hunchback. Oh, wait. I don't like the standard Hunchback. I like the energy. Okay, if you want something overpowered, take the energy Hunchback. It can't intercept opponent mechs or faster mechs very well, but dang, does it bring the damage when you need it to fight against like a heavy or something. Yeah, the disco back. Yes. The disco back is the I want this heavy mech to feel pain and it doesn't go down. Yeah. Yeah, exact. Staying alive, yeah. The AC-20 Hunchback is bad because of the rear armor. Yeah, it's bad. The AC-10 one looks good. I think it could. I'd have to look at the issue with the Hunchback is the rear armor and the explosion chance. Okay, Linebreaker. I mean, these are kind of your big Atlas, your King Crab. Although I don't really like the King Crab, honestly. I like the Victor a little bit better. It's like a Linebreaker cav, shock cav thing. I do like the Davion. I like the Thunderbolt Davion AC-20. I think these are decent picks if you're playing Davion. Banshee. Yeah, Stalker. Yeah. Like I still don't know where to put the battle line, the Stalker, but I guess we put it here. Stalker's good choice. Could be battle line. But has a ton of damage, though no AC-20. Goated Linebreaker, you really like it. I'm excited to play the Stalker more. The only thing I worry about is someone, and I missed it the last stream, but someone said the Stalker has low leg armor, and it does for a assault mech. But it does have a heck of a lot of damage. Again, Steiner. I do like the Steiner Banshee S. Oops. Okay. So those are the kind of the mechs I would take a look at for your slots. Yeah. Okay, so the second thing we're talking about is Pierce Crit. So how do you bring down a mech? You have to puncture its armor first. With a high, a weapon that does a large amount of damage to a single location. So AC-20, boom, 20 damage to whatever location that lands on. PPC is 10 damage to any location it lands on. Clan ER PPC is 15 damage. So I'd say anything that does 8 damage or up can be considered a piercing weapon. Also, the kick from a 50-tonner or more. Or I guess 40-tonner or more. Usually this is a cavalry, medium, or a heavy mech who has 464 or better movement. So if your mech has 464 or better movement and it is a 40-tonner or more, you have this pretty big kick. And it's very useful because you can rotate onto the opponent's weak leg side. So remember, there's 6 hexes, right? 6 facings. So directly behind the mech, it's 50-50. But if the opponent mech has a weak left leg, you maneuver your mech onto the left side, and then there's a 100% chance to crit, or 100% chance to hit the left leg if you land your hit. And so that, in that way, right, that maneuver, the going later, is really helpful. And then your crit, okay, so it's your piercing. Okay. And then your crit is small, like basically any amount of damage to a location. Usually SRM, LB, X weapons, and like, yeah. So you want any amount of damage, to an open location can trigger a crit. So you want to just basically shotgun a bunch of small damage weapons, right? The SRM's doing 2 damage. You don't hit them with the SRM to do damage necessarily. You do it to get the potential trigger of a crit, right? And to, once the armor is open, then you're critting out like components, you're turning weapons offline, you're turning heat sinks offline, you're doing damage to the engine, you're doing damage to the gyro. That's why you're using these crit weapons. You want lots of small triggers to potentially trigger that critical hit, right? And yeah, like the LRM-20, like the LRM systems do damage in packets. So you're getting triggers of like 0 to 5, right? Loving the video, but gotta go to work. Yeah, see you later. This will be up. I'll make like a whole video on it, I guess. Like a well-made video. Okay. How are we doing here? Okay, pretty good. Are we considering non-mech units or just mechs? I think just mechs, right? So we want to make it on a budget. Playstyles. Okay. Does anyone have a playstyle here? I think I want to make 3, right? I want to make a balanced, an aggressive, and a gun line. I don't know about this hero design. Does anyone, are we missing any kind of theme here for like a beginner? You know, when we think about like what a beginner might like. Hello. Thank you, Aaron. MGs and AC2s aren't really it. Yes, you have a playstyle. Maneuver lance. So aggressive. Okay, aggressive. Let's go aggressive line breaker. Aggressive, and I can just do like an aggressive cav list maybe. Kite list. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can kite in BattleTech super well unless you're playing on like a really giant map, which is not a beginner thing. But I see what you're saying, right? You can take like griffins and catapults and just peck someone apart over, but it takes a long time. That game would take like 15 to 20 rounds, and then it'd be really annoying for the other player. It'd be like, oh my gosh, please no. Yes. Okay, good point, Aaron. Okay, so kite. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I think these 4 I think are good. These are the ones we'll make. So we'll make a balanced one, we'll make an aggressive line breaker, you just run it forward, and then we'll make an aggressive maneuver one where you like kind of trying to flood them with speed, and then gun line. So it's just easy to set up, and you just hammer them. Okay, I don't know if we're gonna have time for this today, but what if I want to try a faction? What if I want to play in Clan Invasion? I think those are the two questions if we can expand out. And then this BV Handicap. Okay, let's talk about this BV Handicap. I really like this. This is a concept from the Japanese game of Go. But I would definitely recommend it. So like a newer... So in chess, you cannot give a handicap necessarily because the game plays too differently, right? So you're typically, okay, my chessboard, my chess guys versus your chess guys, or in Warhammer, it's my 2,000 point army versus your 2,000 point army. With things like BV and points, you can it's a good thing to do to introduce a new player. If you give them a BV advantage. And that's more fun for the new player, right? Because your goal as a veteran is to get this person to have a good time and see if they like BattleTech. So stomping them out every single time is not good, right? Eventually they'll stop playing. I think there's something like rats will play with each other, but if one rat just keeps winning over and over and over, the other rat will stop playing games with that rat, right? Because it doesn't like losing all the time. So you kind of have to throw the game, quote unquote, but it's not fun if you just throw the game. It's probably more fun if you give them like 1,000 BB advantage where they're like bound to win, but they use it as a training game to like understand the concepts. Skaven is upset with your accusations. So in the game of Go, what you can do is you can give them a stone handicap, right? So you can give them like, if they're like a little bit better than you or a little bit worse than you, you can give them like 1 or 2 stones. And if they're really new, you give them like 9 stones to start or like 8 stones. So it lets you play with a new player while still having a challenge yourself. Like if there's a skill gap, lets a new player have a good time and have a solid chance of winning. And if I'm playing a lot of BT, if I'm a veteran BT, I don't care about winning necessarily. Like I want to win sometimes, but I don't need to stomp on you every single time. That's going to make you not want to play the game. Yeah, pre-damage mechs, or just something to give them some kind of advantage. Okay. So with that being said, let's go through these starter boxes here. So I believe there are 3, right? There's like there's a Game of Armored Combat. Oops, put it in the wrong place, sorry. So let's start building then. There's a Game of Armored Combat. There's Alpha Strike. And then there's the new Mercenaries box, right? Mercs box. There's also Essentials, beginner box. And then there's Essentials box. 1G, right? 1 beginner. And Essentials box. Okay. Is there anything else? Did I miss one? Okay, so a Game of Armored Combat. I'm gonna pull up these products and we can start building lists. A game. We have. What mechs do I have? Does the product list on Catalyst not tell you what mechs you get? You gotta be joking. Okay, well, I can read it here. All right, so Commando, Locust, Shadowhawk, Wolverine, Catapult, Thunderbolt, Awesome, Battlemaster. Okay. Yeah, Clan Invasion. Okay, see, BattleTech Clan Invasion box. Does the Invasion box have IS mechs or no? Mechs. Invasion box is just 1 star. Okay. Okay. So I guess you can. Someone also could start technically with the Invasion box. Clan Invasion box, which is Executioner, Timberwolf, Nova, Grendel. Ooh, Grendel. Adder. Okay. Alpha Strike box. Box set. Okay, this has the Archer, the Atlas, the Blackjack, the Locust, the Phoenix Hawk, Warhammer, Wraith, Wasp for the IS. And it has the Fire Moth, the Fire Moth, the Nova, the Pouncer, the Timberwolf, the Warhawk, and the, that's it. Yeah, it's actually got some pretty decent stuff here, right? Archer's good, Blackjack's DB's decent, Locust is good, Phoenix Hawk is outstanding in later eras, Warhammer's good. Wraith is kind of the only odd duck because you can't use it actually during Clan Invasion. You have to use it post Invasion, and then Wasp is just like, cool, it's a scout. And then the Fire Moth's an absolute monster. Timberwolf's quite good. Warhawk's an absolute monster. The Nova's pretty fun too. Okay, so what is this Mercenary box? BattleTech. I remember looking at this and not liking it. Yes. Devastator, Flea, Firefly, Caesar, Quick Draw, yikes, Star Slayer, Ostal, Sol, Chameleon, 2 Maxims, and 2 Galleons. So a lot of these mechs can't be used in 3025 or later. Only one is like the Flea, technically, the Quick Draw, and the Ossaw, and all 3 of them have problems. I don't like the Mercenary box because you can't use it in 3025. And I know a player is going to want to use something that is from the start of the game, the intro tech, and they want to use it moving forward. And the Mercenary box does not let you do that. And other non-mech units. Yeah, it's weird. What are the problems with the flea? Extremely light armor. Extremely light armor. I think it's got like 4 or 6 leg armor. And then you're in an era where pulse lasers are a thing. So you're just going to get destroyed, right? You can't bring, like, it's not going to work. Because a new player is just going to be like, okay, well, I'm moving my flea here, and it has a lot of movement. But if you make a mistake, you just get pounced on by something with pulse, jump pulse, and you're done. I don't... Yeah, the Merc box has mechs you can't take. It's... Yeah, if you're moving... Yeah, like, okay. It's not really a beginner... Like, it's not an intro tech beginner-friendly box. It's just not. It just... Because you can't take the Star Slayer in 3025. You can't take it, you know... Like, when was the Star Slayer thing made? And the Star Slayer is essentially the Wolverine, right? Okay, 2 large lasers, SRM4, medium. Okay, so it's a little bit stronger. Production year 2772, so technically you can, but then it becomes... Where's like the... It becomes decent later, right? It's not on the early lists. So I guess technically... Okay, technically with this guy you can take it. Where's a Firefly here? But it's not on the Zodal Rat, so it's unusual. I guess the same thing is with the Firefly. It can also be like this rare thing. This weird rare thing that shows up. Flea I don't like. Devastator. Oops. Did you mean Devastator? I did. 3048 for the Devastator. I mean, you can bring it in during invasion, but it's, I believe it's FedCom only. Focusing on the Ilkon. You like the flea? Yeah. Okay, beginner box. Beginner box I think is alright. It's Griffin Vindicator. And the Essentials box. BattleTech. Essentials box is Centurion AC-20, which is a little awkward, and Rifleman. Okay. So that's kind of what we have to work with. You like the Flea for low BV games? Do you like the Flea better than the Locust? Beginner box has cardboard cutouts. I think that's good. Weird. I just got an EVE Online commercial. Oh yes. I put on the commercial, like mid-roll commercial, so I'm letting YouTube run commercials for me. I don't know. I think otherwise I have to run them manually or something. Let me take a water break. Hang on. So maybe I'm wrong about the Mercenary box, but I still don't like it. You have these like weird... You can, I guess, technically bring it in as salvage, or like just weird, like, I salvage this off of a, you know, Star League catch or something and justify your Firefly, because technically you can bring the Firefly, but it's not exactly lore friendly. Yeah. Okay. So let's build something from AGoAC, okay? So I think Awesome. I think awesome is basically, I mean, it's the awesome. What more do you what do you want from me? Catapult, I think, is also good. We could go Shadowhawk or Wolverine. And okay, let's build up. I'm gonna pull up the Mega Mech so we can look at the points. Mega Mech Lab. Okay, awesome is going to be 1605. Catapult, like 1300. C1, 1399. Oh, AGoAC, yes. A game of armored combat. Battlemaster, Catapult, Shack, and Commando. Yeah, I think when you're starting out, it's just gonna be a generic faction. T-Bolt, do you like the T-Bolt? How? Yeah, I think I think T-Bolt's fine. T-Bolt or Battlemaster. 13,335. Thunderbolt. And then we kind of need more piercing, huh? Oh well. All right, Wolverine. 6R. This is the 8Q. 8Q. The C1. The 5. I forget. 5S. And this is the Wolverine 6R. So this is going to be 5,400. And then you just bump up your pilot to 6K. Locust, do you think? You think Locust? I think this is okay. Then comment here is like increase a pilot to make a 6K list. Battlemaster Wolverine's also good. Okay, so let's actually do this. Because this is a common question I see. How do I split AGoAC into 2 balanced lances so I can play against a friend? Okay, that's a very common question. So let's answer that right now. You have the Awesome and the Battlemaster. Oops, Awesome and the Battlemaster. So someone gets the Awesome, someone gets the Battlemaster. Someone gets the Thunderbolt. And someone gets the Catapult. Someone gets the Wolverine. And someone gets the Shadowhawk. And someone gets the Commando. And someone gets the Locust. So how do we split this into balanced lists? When starting a player out, trying to get to pick mechs from specific faction is a big ask. Yes, I do think it's a big ask to ask them to pick mechs from a specific faction. So I think it's better to not do that. You just give them a generic merc list. C1 is here. 6R. Thunderbolt. I'm going to pull the commando points cost. Commando to Delta 541. This is going to be the 5S. This is going to be the 6R. Commando to Delta. Battlemaster. Is it the 1S, right? 1S? No. 1G? 1G. Battlemaster 1G. Catapult C1. Shadowhawk. Forget the I've been out of this for so long. 2 Delta or 2H? 2H. 2H and the Locust 1V. Okay. Okay. Of these, the Awesome is better, right? Of these, the Catapult is better. So I'm going to highlight this. So between the Awesome and the Battlemaster, you take the Awesome. Between the Thunderbolt and the Catapult, you take the Catapult. Between the Wolverine and the Shadowhawk, you take the Wolverine. And between the Commando and the Locust, you take the Locust. Show 1V 432. Shadowhawk. 1040. 1064. Did they upgrade? I thought it was like 900. Battlemaster. 1G is 1519. So, okay, so Mark is saying that he likes the Catapult and the Locust because you can combine them to indirect fire. I've never done that before, but if it is a thing in Alpha Strike, then maybe you want to try it. I do think the Awesome is so easy to play. Maybe you flip these. So maybe you do this. Well, with this list, you only have the Awesome, and you're basically fighting for your life. Yeah, actually, no. Actually, no. Because if it's that way, then you don't have a good playmaker. Yeah, I like this better. Okay, what are we at BV-wise? Do you know what I'm saying? So if this player has the Shadowhawk instead of the Wolverine, then the Shadowhawk can only be that shock cav unit, and the Wolverine, whether Wolverine is a little bit more flexible. Personally, I like this list a lot better, but I don't know. You don't have a lot of piercing here. You have a lot of piercing here. I don't know what I would do. I think this is the... So you have... Okay. You have 1 piercing on here. The Catapult can pierce. The Shadowhawk can pierce. The Awesome has 3 piercing weapons. The Thunderbolt has 1. The Wolverine has 1. So you're mismatched here. Swap the mediums. You could... Okay. I think to play with this idea, you could swap the mediums here, and you could make the Wolverine a 6. You could make it a 6M. Then you're a little bit more balanced here because the Wolverine has a large laser and it has a kick. So you have 2 piercing here. The 6M is 1291. Oops. Yeah, that's actually better. It's a little annoying to play this as this player though. Cause maybe we swap these. Actually, let's be thorough here. This is Pierce. So let's look at crit. Crit. So no crit. This is effectively like 0.5, I'd say. 1 or 0.5. This is nothing. And then this is your crit mech. So you have like, you know, good. Like 2 SRMs, so it's like maybe like 3 or 4. If I had to give it a number. Okay, so if I look at Pierce here and crit here, switch the Thunderbolt to the 5 SE. Thunderbolt. The SE. Yo, the Iridani? The Iridani. But see, the Iridani's only good for the Iridani Light Horse. So it's not... If they end up liking the SE, then they have to play Iridani. You know what I'm saying? But it is good. It's a grasshopper, effectively. T-Bolt, Shadowhawk, Wolverine, Commando. Yeah, but we want to split it so that, like, you know, both players are having fun. Okay, this is... this is a yes. Ooh, what's nice here is we have Inferno here. And then we can take the Inferno on the Commando if we really want to. And then this has like good, I'd say like put this at like 2 or 3 maybe. This is good. Well, 1, 1, and 0. I want to make sure that they're not going to have a hard, both players are not going to have a hard time cracking armor and then critting out. Like you want to have, both the players should be able to understand Pierce crit, I think. Or practice Pierce crit, you know what I'm saying? So this looks fine. I think this is the closest we could get it. And then this player has better Inferno. They can play with Inferno and shut down. Well, all of these mechs have pretty good heat sinking, but you do have the Inferno option. The Commando is a glass cannon, yes. So you're a little awkward. Like this guy's center line. So player one has a pretty good center line, right? Awesome and Thunderbolt. So he's happy to just sit back and then he screens with this. So what's the strat? Better ranged. Screen off with Shad and Commando. Harass. If you can, harass the larger mechs with Shad. But I don't think you're going to be able to because the Wolverine and Catapult are going to come in too fast. So this is more of like a gun line. You just set up your Awesome and your Thunderbolt and you just pound them. And then this is more of a maneuver, I think. So you must get your Battlemaster into position. And then you have better Cav. Wolverine and Cat and Locust maneuver in. You just have to beat the Shadowhawk and you can overrun. You have a decent shot. Yes, so player 2 is a lot faster, right? Player 2 is just, I'm running in, beating his Shadowhawk, and if I can beat his Shadowhawk, then I can flank his Awesome and Thunderbolt and finish. And then the Commando is just like, you know, the Commando can't really do much. And then player 2 is like, okay, I need to focus on my positioning with my Awesome and Thunderbolt. I need to buy time with my Shadowhawk, and then maybe my Commando can, like, get in there, you know? Yeah. Yes, you are right. Okay. And then if we have to add on, let's say like we add on a... I know. Okay. Add on the beginner box. Because I think there's a world where one of the players gets the beginner box. So if that's, or one or both, or he has like that plus the beginner box. So in that case, I would give the Vindicator here. And I would give the Griffin here. And it's the 1R at 10.24. And the Griffin at, so it's 1 and nothing-ish, like maybe like 0.5 just because, and then it's 1 and 0.5, I think. And the Griffin, 1N, beat 1272. So we're a little off with the BV here. And then player 1 upgrades one of their pilots. Maybe I would say Shadowhawk goes to 4-4 or 4-3, just so your kick gets better. Or if you can upgrade your Awesome to a 3-4. And I think that's how I would split it. I got the beginner box, then I picked up the Inner Sphere DF randomly, but enjoying the hobby first with the occasional side kitchen duel. Yeah, I think if you pick up like one of the Lance boxes is pretty good. Yeah. And then if you have the beginner box, then you like this, giving the Griffin is a bit more of a specialist mech. So he can't play at, it doesn't have an, I don't know. And then I think the Griffin, just their Vindicator is just a bit more well-rounded. I guess you could swap these. I don't know. I'd have to think a little bit more. But the Vindicate, well, the Griffin coming in to like smack the crap out of you with just like 585 is can be a big problem. Yeah, maybe we'll swap it, just because this guy gets a little, like, this is a little bit more balanced. You can melee with your Griffin. I don't know. One of them. Will you do one of these and you upgrade it? I'll think on it more. My son accidentally convinced my wife to pick up an additional copy of the beginner box because the art was different. Nice. Beginner box is pretty bad for the dollar to... Yes. I would definitely... That's very true, Lord of Ducks. Unfortunately, this beginners and essentials box aren't that great for the dollar to miniature ratio. Not that great. Not that great. Cardboard cutouts. Yeah. Maybe we should say something about the cardboard cutouts. Okay, let's make an Alpha Strike list. Let's make an Alpha Strike list. Let's make an IS Alpha Strike list. These are our things we have. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? What are we thinking? He likes the Griffin? Really? He likes the Griffin. Does he likes the 1N Griffin or the 1S Griffin Nighthawk? Oh, right. You have like a $20 gift card in some of them, right? Lance Force Pack. Nice. Okay. What are we thinking here? I think Warhammer is not bad. I think Phoenix Hawk is not bad. Especially if you get... Especially if you get into Renaissance or Invasion, Phoenix Hawk gets quite good. I think Wraith is 30-55, so we can't use it. Blackjack Delta Bravo is not bad as a guard. Where is the front line, though? Is your front line just the Atlas? He likes the PPC. Archer, Warhammer, P-Hawk, Blackjack. BJ1. Archer, Warhammer, P-Hawk, Locust. Is there an Archer variant that's more battle line? We have the Karita. Oh, no. Okay, the Karita's... we have the... there's no piercing on these guys. Okay, let's make it 30-50. Maybe... the W? No. I'm not seeing enough piercing on this, you know? I like the Warhammer. We can do like a... We can do a Fed Sons list with the Warhammer. We can make the Warhammer like the Delta. Well, you only have the Warhammer, right? You only have the Warhammer and you have the Phoenix Hawk. But see, in our other lists, we had like 5 piercing and 4 piercing. So how do we get that? Okay, let's see if we can get there. So Phoenix Hawk has 2. Okay, I guess we're fine. Warhammer and Phoenix Hawk are your 2 pierce mechs. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. I lied. How do you rate the Hermes 2? It's not the stream for that. I'll do it fast. Here, Hermes 2. 6'9", Flamer medium laser. So not great. Not a good loadout. Not a good weapons loadout. Am I missing something? How much did it cost? $784. It's all right. It's all right. It's not awesome, but it's not great. Yeah, we can do if we need the I'm looking at, yeah. Yes. Warhammer 6 Delta. 1471. We can also just do the regular one at $12.99. $12.99. All right, Phoenix Hawk. One can be 10. 1041. There's, okay, let's look at the Phoenix Hawk. Let's look at the Phoenix Hawk variants here. The 3 Steiner is the Light Hunter, and then there's the Delta, which is... Okay, I like the Delta here. I like the Delta here. 3048. So... Or regular. My idea is we make a Davion Lance. So Phoenix Hawk 3 Delta can be 1315, which is very nice. And then you go up another piercing. I actually like that. Okay. So 3050 Davion. So Warhammer 6 Delta. So the baby, aka the baby awesome, at 1471. And then you run your Phoenix Hawk 3 Delta at 1355 or 1315. Let me read chat here. Mercs only have the Pioc one. Yes. But if you have this and you're playing, you just say, like, hey, I have a Davion Lance. I'm like, okay. Okay, come in with your Davion Lance. Blackjack. Okay, we can use the Blackjack Delta Bravo here. DB. Ooh, we need a crit mech. Okay. Delta Bravo 1015. And the last mech, Archer. Archer S. Does it have Inferno? It is Inferno capable. Let's put the Archer S in here. So be 1393. And that's 2 crit. 2 pierce. What do you think? What do you think? Good lance. Do we like the Phoenix Hawk 3 Delta or the Phoenix? Actually, let's make this the Phoenix Hawk Steiner. I like the Phoenix Hawk Steiner. I think I like the Phoenix Hawk Steiner a little bit better here. Okay, so the 3 Delta has 2 ER large. Oops. Is a hybrid. Ranged guard. Right? So you have your 2 ER large lasers that you're piercing with. And then if something comes in on you, You swap to your medium pulse lasers and you hunt it down, right? You hunt it down with your 696. And you also have anti-missile systems, so you can actually dual LRM carrying mechs decently well. So it's very good, very well-rounded for that. However, the Phoenix Hawk 3 Steiner 3S has a mask, so it can go locust speed. Has an AMS, has a large pulse laser, and it's kind of like close-in, like dedicated cavalry. 13, or the 3S, which is a dedicated cav / anti-light. So I actually, and especially says, so instead of a Davion list, this would be like Federated Commonwealth. Fedcom. I think you'll do fine if you do the 3S. Because this list doesn't have a dedicated cav unit, right? Actually, yes, you do need the 3S here. You do need the 3S because you don't have a dedicated cav. 1237. 1237. All right, so now you have a good cavalry unit. 3S is decent, getting close with that armor layout. I think it's fine. What don't you like about the armor? 21 CT, 17 torsos, 20 legs. It's fine. The Wraith will crush the 3S. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I guess you can do Wraith here. TR1. But see, then you're out of invasion. If you take the Wraith, you can't play Clan Invasion. And you're going to want to go up against, like, you're probably going to want to play, okay, no Wraith because 3055. You probably want to play during the Clan Invasion. But yes, the Wraith is better. It's just flat better. In fact, it's so good, I think I've seen it played in tournament. Do we like anything else? Atlas, I think, is a little too focused. I think that's the best you can do. 3050 Fedcom. And you'd be quite happy with this. You would be quite happy with this list. 5,000. Yeah, so you actually can play this. You take this 5,000 list and then you go and play against someone with AGoAC. And then the AGoAC player just bumps up his points a bit. And you're good. Could swap the Archer out for a Crusader. You could. I think the Archer is a little safer though. Because of the decent rear armor. Oh no, this thing's loaded with ammo though. Maybe I spoke too soon. Yeah, you could. You could. Okay, so Mercenary box. Do we want to try and build something with the Mercenary box? Let me ask you guys. Do you want to build a lance with the Merc box? If not, we can just move on to trying to do something with the Clan Invasion mechs. I think Mager is talking about like tournament play. Maybe he's talking about MRC. Because yeah, because you can technically do like Wraith TR1, Wraith TR2, Wraith TR3, Caesar, Chameleon, Starslayer, Ostal. I'm not familiar with a lot of those either. Please do not play with 2 wraiths. Yeah. Hi, what's your list? I brought 2 wraiths. Oh. Talk to you later. Okay, how about I look at Mercenary box later. I'll look later. Cause I'm not super familiar with it. It sounds like you're just using a Devastator as the anchor, and then maybe the Star Slayer is your maneuver. And then whatever these things are, you know, whatever good thing is there. I think the Ossaul is the Ossaul the. Is it the... Oh, it's the laser one. Okay, you can get away with the Ossaul, I think. Yeah, Ossaul's good. The other one has bad armor and an explosion chance. Okay, let's just put this together really fast, I guess. Most people are saying yes. So let's put this together really fast. I'm going to rely on you here. Wait, where's the guy that said Caesar, Chameleon, Star Slayer, Ossaul? Okay, let's take a look at how good this is. Okay, Ossaul, 4 Delta at 1277. We have 2 piercing weapons, no crit. Okay, Star Slayer. Star Slayer. What is the standard Star Slayer? The 2C? Case. Okay, we'll do Star Slayer. 2C. 12. 1365. 2 piercing, 1 crit. The 2 ER large laser? Wait, there's a 2 ER large laser one? What variant of the Star Slayer is that? Chameleon? The Chameleon. Chameleon. What? BattleTech Mercenary box. Is it called the Chameleon, or did I just misspell it? Oh, I can look here on... I did misspell it. Okay, Star Slayer 3C is the standard. 3C. Star Slayer 3 Charlie. Oh, 2 large lasers. Okay. Wow. Wow. But this is outside invasion. This is outside invasion. Okay, let's take the 2C and call it like Star League Salvage. So at least it can be used in 3050. Okay. See, if we take the 3C, then it's 3056, and you can't use it in invasion. And I think most people are going to want to play invasion. Okay, Chameleon. Chameleon is 30. Oh, okay. 3056. So we're way out of invasion here. Caesar. I like the Caesar 3R. Nice little battle line, right? Depth 70 ton with the ERPPC and the Gauss. Very, very good. XL engine, though. 1578. Why don't we just throw the... Because we have these 2 maneuver mechs, right? This is a Cav mech. This is a Cav battle line. Or it can be Cav, but can also play line. or can also be okay not getting initiative, right? A little bit flexible. Caesar is a battle line. And then why don't we just play around the... Why don't we just play the Devastator? Then if we put the Devastator in, right? Devastator is invasion legal. Devastator. Ooh, it's a big boy. 2481. Yikes. Yikes. What's the build? 6,700. This is like elite Steiner. Elite Commonwealth with a salvage Star Slayer. Okay. Merc box. Chameleon is the Secession Wars variant. Chameleon. The Chameleon what? TRC 4C. TRC 4C. I don't see it here on Megamech. I do not see it on Megamech. Let's see if it's on 4C. There is no entry for the Chameleon 4C. I see the 4V. And then it looks like it was errated. It looks like the Chameleon is only 3056, so it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for clan invasion. Yeah, it's a Steiner. Elite Commonwealth / Steiner. Only 1,800 for the Devastator 1D. Devastator 1 Delta. You want the AC-10s? You want the AC-10s? Okay, I guess we can. Okay, I guess we can. I guess we can. I guess we can. I guess we can. Or the 1D if you want something less expensive. So the good one's 2,000 points, 1858. Let's see what we're at with the downgraded Devastator. It's not terrible. It's just not as good as like 6,000. What if we put this against like a clan invasion list? You can use the 2D if you want to showcase. Like this could be clan elite anti-clan fighters. And then you can just say you can just put this guy in. Wait, do we have enough crit? The Devastator doesn't have crit, right? Good God, this thing's a monster. Okay, the Caesar 3R, no crit. So you're low on crit here. Low on crit. You have 2 here, 4 here, and nothing. It's a bit of a problem. Are there any crit mechs that we can put in? Or crit weapons? We have, where's our list here? Devastator, Firefly, Caesar. What's a Firefly? Firefly. We need one with a SRM. No, we don't have one. We don't have one. We don't have one. We don't have a crit mech. Quick draw. uh Do we put the quick draw in? I can't recommend the quick draw as a beginner mech though, I don't think. I don't think so. If you're slinging Gauss slugs and PPCs, you don't really need crit. Yeah, the only thing this is the Star Slayer has an SRM 4, but that's it. So you need some kind of crit mech here. I'll think about this later. I'm gonna highlight this. Needs some kind of crit. Need to fix. But I like this. I like this lance that can go up against clans and do decently well, right? Because you have these new mechs, the Devastator and the Caesar, which is your kind of clan killers with the Gauss rifles. So your Gauss rifles can keep up with the ERPPCs, but you don't have crit. The quick draw is the perfect beginner mech because you want to upgrade right away. It's to showcase how to head cap. Yeah, just roll good and you win. Do you really need a crit if you can remove the Hotor? Okay. I'll put some games on this. In fact, I need to put games on all of these and just really make sure it works. Okay. 1 second, okay? I need to use the little slimes room, and then I will be back, and we will do the clan invasion stuff. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so we need to make 2 clan invasion lists or clanner lists. I'm admittedly less good or a lot less experienced with clan than I'm with IS, so we're probably gonna be looking at some of these. Got to get your haircut appointment. Awesome. I'll see you later. I will make this into a full video that's a lot cleaner for people. Clan Invasion box is funny. Okay, which one is this? The Alpha Strike box. Alpha Strike. Clan. Okay. Wait, one of these guys gets the one of these guys gets the battle armor, right? Do they both get battle armor, or does only one of them? Clan Invasion. Clan box has battle armor. Alpha has the tanks. Alpha Strike has tanks? No. Alpha Strike doesn't have tanks. I have Alpha Strike. Right? Alpha Strike does not have tanks. I would have a tank. I'm pretty sure the Clan Invasion box set has the BA, right? The battle armor. Let's look at the picture. Show me y'all see. Yes. Okay, Clan Invasion has 2 BA. Is it, okay. I just want to see what we're working with here. It's fine. I forget stuff too. Okay. We like the Warhawk for sure. Warhawk. The Masakari. Oh, baby. The Masakari. I mean, any Masakari is good, right? There's a gross one. The gross one's the C, right? Yeah. Warhawk C. Oh boy, 299.8. Okay. What do we need to balance against? We need to balance against 6,000. Firemoth. The Firemoth. Yeah, Firemoth Prime's fine. $12.51. A Masakari, 2 Mad Cats, a Nova, and an Adder. The IS Mechs 2. Right. So we had the Alpha Strike player at 5,100. So we need a balance against that. I think we take the Timberwolf because we take the Timberwolf because it is the Timberwolf, because it's so iconic. I think they would be sad if they didn't get to play the Timberwolf. $2,737. Oh no. Oh, and these are just 4-5 pilots. Lore wise, they're 3-4. Okay, I gotta think about, maybe all these guys are like elite dudes or something. I don't know. The Firemoth Delta. You like the Firemoth Delta? Let's take a look. The Firemoth Delta. ER medium lasers. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I think the Prime is a good crit mech. Timberwolf. Maybe we take Maybe we take the Nova? Do you guys like the Nova or the Pouncer? The Nova or the Pouncer? Tell me, do you like the Nova or the Pouncer? The Pouncer is 2 ERPPCs. I think a little boring, huh? Let's just run the Nova. Do you like the Pouncer or the Nova? I think they would be happier with the Nova because it's more of a maneuver mech. The Pouncer T. Okay, we have some options here. Okay, Nova Prime. Nova Prime, which is 2663. Or we have what'd you say, the T? Adder, the Pouncer? Yeah, we could do a poll. I don't see a T here, unfortunately. Oh, it's a later variant. It's post. Is it post invasion? Pouncer Prime targeting computer. It's very light armored though. 695. The Nova is, yeah, the Nova is more fun, right? The Nova is more fun. Gotta learn that heat. Okay, we'll do a poll. So Nova or Adder? Or Pouncer. We have the Nova Prime. Someone's saying the Nova A. Okay, it's gonna be Nova Prime, Pouncer Prime. Let's look at the Nova A. The Nova A. ERPPCs. Okay, we have a maneuver mech. I think you. Okay, let's go Nova A. I'll buy that. So we could do Nova Prime, which is this skirmish mech. You can use it both ranged and battle line, I guess, right? You can, if you have initiative, you can position it well. If it doesn't have initiative, then it's kind of okay. Or do you want like just a purely range mech that just sits in the back and is just fire support? When you adjust for pilot gunnery skills, is there a standard formula? I don't know. I think there is. I don't know it off the top of my head. I know the MUL will auto-calculate it for you. There is a standard formula. Yeah. Okay, 86% Nova Prime. I like the Nova Prime. I think it's fun. I also like to see... I like to see my friend just be like, okay, I'm going to just one-shot you right here, fire everything. And then it doesn't work. And they're like, oh, now I'm overheated. We're at 6,400. So, you're going to have to up your pilots here or take more mechs. But I think this is okay. Like, lore-wise, these guys are 3-4 at least, right? They're veteran pilots. because their clanners are just better. But I think this will work. This will work. And I think the Warhawk C, as cool as it is, I think the Timberwolf's just more iconic, and you'll have more fun with it because you're actually piloting a Mad Cat. Wait, I'm confused. Did you already do a video on beginner setups using the AGoAC lens? Yes, I did. I can't remember if I did a couple of them, like couple of beginner ones, but this time around I'm coming back to the game. So it's been like a year and a half since I've really touched this stuff. And I've had a lot of time to think, and I really want to think about it from the average consumer's point of view, where they probably already have bought one of the beginner boxes, and I want to present good lance builds to that type of person. Don't you play one clan star versus 2 inner sphere lances when you run fluffy games? Typically, yeah, because the BV's so high, right? So we only have 3 clan mechs, and they're already over like 1,000. They're beating these guys by 1,000. But I think you can't go. I think for a beginner, you can't really go. You can't really go less than 3 mechs, because once one of your mechs goes down, you're kind of screwed. You know, if you have 2 mechs, once one of your mechs goes down, you're kind of screwed. So I think for a beginner, they would take just 5-4 pilots and take 3 of them. And then this guy would take like his 4 mechs, or maybe 5 or 6, and then just upgrade his pilots to veterans. I think would be the way to go. Nova Prime, let him figure out the consequences of heat. Welcome. Glad you're up. But yeah, you do typically, I mean, you can do like 1 star versus 1 company, right? But that's not like a beginner friendly kind of thing. Like I'm thinking of like just you play a standard game. Clan mechs need battle armor to help balance games. True. So I wouldn't even consider a clan game beginner friendly unless there are 2 clan stars going against each other. True. However, there are players, like my friend just wants to play clan. Like he just grew up with that MechWarrior game that featured like Wolf versus Jade Falcon. And so when I told him about this game, he's just like, oh, I want to play clan because I really liked the... What mech did he really liked the Mad Cat, and he really liked the Vulture, the Mad Dog. So there are people that do just want to play with the clan stuff, and then they're a little lost when they have to play the clan stuff, you know? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, most beginner games are 1 beginner and 1 veteran. Like you're bringing someone into the game. So, okay. Maybe we should do this. Like maybe another good question to ask myself is, what setup if 1 beginner, 1 vet? For clan versus clan, IS versus IS, and IS versus clan. Like how can the veteran give a really good experience to the beginner with that points that points handicap? Yeah, exactly. What is a good experience? Like, you did. What is a good setup to get your butt handed to you by a beginner so they can have a fantastic first experience? Yeah. How do I give the beginner an excellent experience? Yeah, you can just give the newbies the clan. You can give them, you know, they can be 3 or 4 pilots and they just run you over. That's cool. That's fun, right? That could be fun. Because then if these are 3, 4 pilots and those are 4, 5 pilots, you just get, they just have a fun time like wiping you out. How do I get my butt handed to me without looking like I threw? Yeah, kinda. Kinda. That's when the vet breaks out the quick draw. Okay. Let's look at Clan Invasion. I think Timberwolf kind of has to be in the list because they're going to want to play Timberwolf. Wait, do we just... do we want to build a different list than the other one? Executioner. Alpha? Ooh. What do you think about the Executioner Alpha? The triple pulse laser with jump and mask? I knew the quick draw was good for something. Yes, that's a good point. That's a very good point, Lord of Ducks. Let player use 3, 4 pilots so they hit. Every pilot is 3, 4. That's a good point, actually. I'll put that in the video. I've learned to hate 4 or 5 pilots. The game is too long. True. True. The Executioner is a way to prove that mask is not for me. The Prime is the best? You like the Prime and not the A? Gauss rifle. You don't want to be zooming around triple pulse lasering people in the face? I like the A. I like the A. I like the A as my nasty little maneuver mech. 3,112. Just for the low price of 3,000 battle value. Clan player will level 1 kick to the eye. Yes, just kick them in the face. But I do think there is a good point to not having 4 or 5 pilots to just make the game go faster. Yeah, I do. I think we just do the adder in that case. The adder prime. Yikes. This thing has a heat problem. What do we like? The adder prime, the adder alpha. The adder alpha's fine. Adder Charlie's okay. Adder A. I say adder alpha. 1437. Please be 7,000. Adder A. Yeah, it gives some crit, right? And then this is staying put. This is your anchor. This is your flex. And then this is your playmaker. And then here's your playmaker. Here's your anchor. Here's your flex. 4-5 falling over a lot. Helpful to teach. 3-5. Yeah. I think this is good as a sketch. And then I would have to test these and make them good, quote unquote. Or test them at least, you know? Test at least a couple of these. Okay. We are at 2 hours. I am very tired. Oh, 2.5 hours. I'm trying to stretch myself in terms of stream endurance. But it is quite tiring to have to talk constantly. I do eventually want to get to faction stuff. I think I would have wanted to hit, like, what if I want to try a faction? Like, what are some mechs to try out as a faction? But I think I'm a little burnt out at the moment. My brain's a little fried. What do you want to do next time? Can you throw me some ideas for what you want to do next time? I think I want to look at Renaissance mechs. I want to do a Renaissance mech review. Because it's so far I've only done Intratech, and I think it'd be really fun to do a Renaissance reaction, and then we can go and update our tier lists eventually. Maybe a couple of force pack. What about V's? V's. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, let's do Renaissance. I think we'll do Renaissance next time. And then we can look at some really cool Renaissance mechs. And then that'll help us with this beginner lances, because then we can make recommendations for, like, good recommendations for factions. Yep. Alrighty, I'll see you guys next time. See you guys next week, Saturday. Bye-bye.